Anybody know what that was about? Mi chamocha is a prayer that you're going to learn if you haven't learned it yet. You may have heard it, different melodies. And mi chamocha is basically saying, let me look up and out. Instead of at my own needs, my own stories, sometimes we look to see who's the author of my story, right? All of us are living a beautiful story. Zach, do you want to say something? Just hi. Your name tag is upside down, but I can read it. Backwards and upside down. And maybe at your age, it doesn't need to be the right way. It's perfect. Just that way. Okay, that's perfect. So mi chamocha is about freedom. How many of you feel free? You shouldn't, not really. Your parents are ruling your lives. It's the fact. Your parents are ruling your lives. Let's talk about it. They're hearing. They can't argue with us. They're ruling your lives. They're telling you what to wear, what to eat, what friends to have, where to go to school, all the things that are important in your lives, your parents are ruling. And is that a good thing? It's perfect. That's called parenting. Parenting is leading. Is one of the great acts of leadership in life, maybe the most important one. Far more important than me being up there in front of them is me being up here in front of my kids. Leading, right? Leading our kids to make the best choices that we can make by our example, letting them see that sometimes we make mistakes, all of us. And sometimes we apologize, all of us. Sometimes we forgive, all of us. Sometimes the best things that can happen if we have a brother and sister is a little argument over something because it teaches us what can happen next in life, which is even more important than the thing we argued about, which is we can say, I'm sorry. And that's okay. I love you always, and I forgive you now. So I want to tell a story. But I didn't come with a story prepared. So what I want to do is create a story with you. So I want you to tell me certain things to have in the story. I want to say something first. No branded things. I don't know if that means anything to you. No Marvel characters, Bugs Bunny, maybe Bugs Bunny because you don't remember Bugs Bunny, maybe we'll let him in. But does somebody have anything we should put in the story? Give me a few things, a few ingredients for the story. Yes, what do you want to add into it? A basketball player, we can throw that in. I just put that into the mix, yes? Oh, a knight on a quest, that's a lot, but I'll work with it. Okay, yes, go ahead, Emmett. Don't even know what that means. That was Hebrew. I don't even know what it is. Let's go to something that I know, and I'm old. Go ahead. A dragon, a knight on a quest, a basketball player. Okay, yes. Sushi? Okay, all right. We're trying to, yes, no shrimp, but sushi, okay. Let's say one more thing. I want to take one thing from the boys that you guys suggest. Okay, go ahead.
A pony.
A pony. I like ponies.
A Chanukia. A pickle. Me.
Gavin, okay. Oliver, what do you want to say?
A golf player.
A golf player. Okay, I think one sport for me is enough. I'm going to choose between golf player and basketball player, but I have to come to you because you've been waiting patiently with your hand up. What do you want to say?
A good dragon.
Oh, okay, so now we characterize the dragon. That's easier for me because it's the same character. All right, so let's start a story. Once upon a mountain. Let's start it differently, right? Let's be unpredictable this year. Once upon a mountain, there stood a dragon like no man or woman had ever seen before. It was a dragon that was so tall that some people thought it eclipsed the moon and the sun. Any time of the day, nobody could see anything because that dragon was so large, looming over the entire town that was below in the valley. Anybody live in that valley? And you look up and you think, is that the mountain? All those jagged peaks and rocks? And then you see steam coming out of one end of it. You go, no, it's our dragon. And the question is, do the kids in that town wake up scared of the dragon or feeling safe because the dragon's there? But maybe our story will tell us. And there's a knight called Moshe. A lot of knights in the olden days used to have Yiddish names. There was a knight called Moshe. And Moshe was not the strongest knight. He was more of a day than a knight. He was a knight, but his arms kind of hung low rather than peaked high. He kind of walked a bit like this. He didn't have the most comfortable shoes because he made them. He wasn't the kind of knight that had Nikes. We'll leave that alone. But instead, he made his own shoes. And when he wanted to run, he laced straps that he made out of leather. And he ran. And this night, every single day woke up saying, one day, Penelope, I'm going to meet the dragon. But his mommy said, don't even look out that window at that dragon. I know you. Since birth, you're brave and you're daring like Penelope. And one day, I'm afraid, I'm going to look at your bed in the morning. You're not going to be there because you're up climbing the mountain to find the dragon. Well, she said that, but it was at that moment that her son, this young knight, was looking at pictures of his favorite heroes of all time, which at that moment, because he didn't know that much yet, were famous basketball players, famous golfers. They were on his wall. But in those days, they didn't have printed ones that say, just do it, Nike. Instead, they were hand-drawn. Some of them were even carved into his wall. He had somebody like this carved into the wall, throwing a free throw shot, but it didn't work out that well, because actually that wouldn't be a free throw shot. But part of his arm was missing because it was carved and it fell off. But he had sports figures all around him all the time. And his mother called him one morning. She said, Moshe, Moshe. It was 5 in the afternoon. No, I said the morning. It was morning. And she said, Moshe, Moshe, come quickly, come quickly. And he came to the kitchen. Mom was slicing raw fish, which was the tradition in that town. They had raw fish and something that the Jews of the territory called wasabi. And wasabi was something that you put on the raw fish to make them kosher, beautiful, and just made your nose tingle just a little. So it was this fine morning. It was a fine morning. The sun was glaring above, but nobody could see it. But there was just a glowing light above the mountain. And you know what was on top of that mountain? It was a giant dragon like nobody had ever seen before. And who was the knight? It was a little boy who wasn't a great runner, wasn't a great fighter, but he decided, I have to tell my mom, but I have to go on a quest because all of you are going to need quests in your life. Does anybody know what a quest is? If you're on a keto diet, it's a bar that you can eat. Different. This isn't that kind of quest. Gavin, what's a quest?
An adventure.
Yeah, it's an adventure. It's an adventure. Do all of you want adventures in your lives? Put your hands up if you want adventures in your lives. Zach, no adventure? No? Do you want me to tell you what an adventure is? So maybe you and I will understand it more, and then we'll get back to our story. So Zach, come stand with me. So some of the greatest adventures that I've ever had in my life were the ones that were unexpected. So that tells you something about adventures. They usually have an element of surprise. Have you had an adventure yet in your life? That was an adventure. You kissed my microphone. Now the adventure is whether I get sick, you get sick. Let's just be healthy. So the adventure in life is when we do something that challenges us. It makes us stronger, okay? Every adventure makes us stronger. Every adventure makes us stronger here. Our mind gets stronger. Every adventure might make us stronger here. Our legs get stronger. Every adventure makes us stronger here. It gives us more heart. And there's a word for more heart in the world. You know what that word is? Courage. Courage. In the language French, cour means heart. So courage is more heart. Do you think you have a big and a brave heart? Just gonna kiss this again. Okay. It's fine. It's okay. Antibodies, we're good. Okay. So courage sometimes is going up to somebody. The adventure could be going up to somebody like your rabbi and saying, hello, Shana Tova, let's try an adventure. Not going to happen. Not today. Not today. It doesn't have to happen today. Adventures sometimes happen in their own time, which is what you're teaching all of us, right? Okay? So adventures, who wants to explain to Zach what an adventure is?
An adventure is like when you take a risk and like go on an adventure. Maybe like you go to the jungle or something.
Oh yeah, you can go to the jungle. It's when you take a little risk. Does that make sense? You can sit down because otherwise we're going to kiss each other's microphone again. Let's do it one more time. Thank you. Thank you. You want to sit? Can I give you a hug first? So much. I want to say to you and to all of us before we go on, this is what's called in storytelling a commercial break. So in the commercial break, I want to say to you and to everybody around you, all the big little people, I hope you have a great year in school, with friends, with adventures. And sometimes adventure is meeting somebody you don't know and creating a friendship out of it. That's like climbing a mountain, meeting a dragon, right? Sometimes just facing a big brother or sister in the morning. That's the dragon. So now you can sit. We're going to go back to our story. And the story tells us that at that moment, Moshe woke up and he had what was called resolve. His heart was big and strong that morning, and he woke up saying, This is the day, and he didn't even know what he was going to do, but he looked out that window, he opened 2 curtains, blinds, all the things that they didn't have in those days, and he looked out a window, and he saw the mountain, and the sun was shining the light upward and over the top of the mountain, so there was shine on the scales of the giant dragon, and he looked up, and he saw just a gentle steam on one end. He went to his mother in the kitchen. He was already dressed, and he had, instead of a sword that some knights need, he had a little prayer book. A lot of knights need that too. And he put it in his little pocket, and he said, I have one prayer that I'm going to take on the whole journey. It's going to be Shema Yisrael, that you heard everybody say, Shema Yisrael. And as he started walking to the kitchen, he said to himself, Shema Yisrael. He reminded himself that he's never walking alone on any adventure in life. He's always with God, right? Always. Never alone in life. So he gets to the kitchen. Mom is carefully with a giant, beautiful Japanese knife. She's cutting sushi, cutting raw fish. She's mixing wasabi, not the horseradish stuff we get in LA, the real stuff. She's making everything ready for his Japanese kind of nightish adventure day. And he says to her, Mom, I have to do something before I eat. She says, but the fish, we don't have refrigeration. This is the olden days. She says, what am I going to do about the fish? He says, I'll be back. Hold on the fish. I just need a little protein. Again, that's a reference to keto. He's going to eat a little of the fish. And he says, I have to go on a quest. And she says, well, where are you going to go? Do you mean school? He says, Mom, what have I woken up looking at every day of my life before I even had a name for it? She said, you can't mean the dragon. He says, how am I going to know how strong I am till I stand with the dragon? Would any of you do that? Neither would I, let's be honest. Fine when it's a story about somebody who doesn't exist. Wouldn't do it. Okay, so imagine you would. Everybody be the knight. Moisha, Moisha, whatever you want to be. Okay? Be the knight. Have that courage in your heart. Feel your chest pounding. His mother says, I'm going to watch you from the window, my little boy, but go carefully, go steadily, walk that mountain, walk to the top, take a little water, because moms always want to make sure you have everything you need. And he walks from the house, and he looks back, and he sees his mom looking through the window, his little sister, they're all looking through the window, and he walks toward the mountain's base, and he looks up, and it seems to be at the height of the heavens, and he says, I'll get to the heavens if I climb. So he starts climbing, and sometimes on the way, he falls because he stumbles on rocks, but he gets up again. He ties the shoes that he carefully made that day for that adventure, for that journey, Zach. And he climbs further up the mountain until he's standing and he can feel that he's being blown back by the steam of the dragon's nose. Imagine what that is. That you're at the apex, the point of your adventure, and what's blowing you back is the dragon's breath. And he gets to the front, and he jumps on the dragon because he's too terrified to look at his mouth, to look at his face, to look at his eyes. He just jumps on top of the dragon, and the dragon gently does what some of our dogs do, which is just gently throws him off. And Zach falls all the way down the mountain again. Not Zach, but Moisha. And again, he climbs because sometimes your greatest adventures don't happen the first time. They happen when you go back at the same thing. You say, I'm going to do it this time. And he gets to the base of the mountain, he climbs to the top, and he falls a few times. He gets to the front, he gets to the top, and again, he doesn't have the courage to look the dragon in the eyes, to stare at his big teeth in his mouth. He gets past the steam, and he jumps on the dragon's neck, and the dragon isn't comfortable. We wouldn't be comfortable. He just gently tosses him off, and Moshe falls to the bottom of the mountain. And finally, Moshe gets to the top. He's exhausted. Little boy's sweating. His beautiful hair, it's all stuck to his head with sweat from the journey. He gets to the top thinking, maybe I just needed one more piece of sashimi. I'd have the strength to get to the top. Maybe I shouldn't have the horseradish. Maybe I'm scaring the dragon away with the wasabi. And that's the moment when he has the greatest courage of all. And it's the courage to look another being, even a dragon, right in the eyes. And he does it. Instead of jumping on the dragon from behind, instead of trying to do what the dragon doesn't want, he comes to his eyes. It's a giant eye. The eye is bigger than all of you. And the little boy is about Zach's size, maybe 5 or 4 feet bigger. And the little boy, Moshe, looks up at the dragon's eye, and he blinks. He sees the black dragon blinks at him. And he blinks again, and he smiles. He's a little afraid of the dragon's smile because the dragon's smile shows a lot of teeth. It's that moment that he hears something beautiful coming from the dragon. The dragon says to him, now if we believe in dragons, we know they can speak in any language. And this one understood English and a little French, because we mentioned that, and some Hebrew as well. He probably has Dragon Dictate, which is a software you can use to translate things. And it's that moment that in a small, quiet, still voice, the dragon says to the little boy, Shema Yisrael. And the boy looks at him. Moshe says, how do you know that prayer? I didn't know the dragons pray. He said, all of the times that you've been on this journey up to me, you've been saying that every breath, every step. Shema Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai, Echad. He said, yes, but why did you keep throwing me down? He said, because I needed more time to learn it. And every time I threw you to the bottom, I had another chance with the word Shema. And what does it mean for a dragon actually to hear? Because the word Shema means listen and hear, which is one of the most valuable things any of us can do in this new year. And the dragon said, but what does Echad mean, the last word of the prayer? And Moshe said, oh, dragon. He said, this is the moment when I get to become a real knight. I could get to do something really important with my story. He says, Echad is the most important word in any prayer that dragons or humans can say. He said, you know what it means? It means that God and all of us are one. That there's no difference between dragons and humans. There's no difference between little children of different nationalities, languages, races. We're all one. The dragon realized from the top of the mountain what humanity was getting wrong. He said, I've been watching you. And all of you are running in different directions. You're not talking to your neighbors. You're not playing with friends who don't look like you. You're not realizing what Moshe taught me, which is one is the most important word that a dragon learned on this holy day of Rosh Hashanah. So what I want to say to the one, to all of you, is I've never been good at math. Seriously. But I want to tell you my math. It's called Rabbi's math. Don't try and use this at school, and don't blame me when you get an F if you use it. It means this. 1 plus 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 1, definitely plus 1 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 plus all of them has to every day only equal 1. Shana Tova to all.